When I first started this garden 6 years ago, I was completely unaware of the challenges that I would face. From the wind to the scorching sun to an ever-changing skyline. But against all odds, the garden is now flourishing. If you're new here, you might not know that I actually have 3 ponds on this garden. My main pond is my fish pond. Then I've got 2 other ponds. I don't know what it is, but this year these guys have been a little bit friskier than normal. I'm going to blame you guys actually, because I do not know where they've got it from. Definitely not me. You can see the pond is doing so good this year. I've never had so many lily pads in this pond. And just here you see that I've got these sponge mops, and if you take a closer look, you'll see that they are covered in eggs. If I leave the eggs in the pond, the adults and the snails will eat them. So I move those out and they go into this little green tank here. And once they hatch in here, after about a week or so, they end up going back out into the smaller ponds down the end of the garden. And that's where they're going to grow out. One of the main reasons why I created the pond is because I wanted to create a water source for any visiting insects. Hence why I've got the lily pads in there, so that when the insects land, they can safely drink. But the problem is that I ended up getting mosquitoes. And so these fish are called Japanese rice fish, and their favorite food are mosquito larvae. A really cool byproduct of this pond is that I can use the fish pond water to fertilize the garden. And that is one of the reasons why this garden is looking so luscious. In a previous video, we learned all about permaculture, and my pond is a really great example of that. If you watched my tour earlier in the year, you remember that Sarah was flowering. Well, obviously she stopped flowering, but she is still going, and it's not just her. Leona was flowering like crazy during the spring, and normally she dies down. But this year she has continued going. All I've done is chop back any yellowing leaves, but she keeps producing brand new foliage. So she wants to overstay her welcome, she can do. Obviously, one of the challenges of a small space garden is the fact that you don't have a lot of space. One of the ways I've been able to get around that is going upwards. So as you can see, I've got lots of vertical elements on this garden. The star of the show this year has definitely got to be the jasmine all over the arch. The scent here on this garden is incredible. As you can see, not only is it growing over the arch, but it's also crawled over onto this side of the trellis. So much so that the trellis is leaning, and actually the archway has broken over there because of the weight. There are also passion fruits on here, and this passion fruit vine has gone absolutely crazy. The pot is somewhere down there, and as you can see, it's crawled all over. And then there are multiple different side shoots all along this vine. So much so that it's crawled all the way over onto the second arch. On this particular arch, the thing I love the most are these grapes. I've finally done it, you guys. I've got balcony grapes. And just look at how lush this wisteria is. It's gone right up to there. It's now crawled over onto this side of the arch as well. It is absolutely non-stop. Rounding off some of my edibles, something that's been thriving in the heat on this garden are these nasturtiums. And just look at these, absolutely stunning. And also with nasturtiums, you can eat the flowers, the leaves, and also the seeds. And what most people don't know is that nasturtiums are actually more nutritiously dense than spinach. A new addition to the garden is actually this kiwi vine. Now, it died back quite a bit, but just recently it's begun to come back to life. You can see the red stems from the new shoots, and it's actually produced another vine over here. Now, it's not going to flower this year, but I would hazard a guess that next year I will potentially get some fruit. Because of this glass paneling here, what that does is it magnifies the heat. So actually during a heat wave like we're experiencing now here in the UK, it's almost 10 to 15 degrees warmer than it is on ground level. And that is a serious issue. I've not been able to grow things like leafy greens because they always end up bolting and going to seed. But one way I've got around that is to grow my Malabar spinach. I've got two varieties on here. I've got a green and also a red variety, and the red is actually in its fruiting stage. And what's great about this Malabar spinach is the fact that it thrives in heat, but also you can cook it and eat it in the exact same way that you would normal spinach. Rather than seeing the heat as an issue, I've kind of lent into it. What I've done is I've selected plants on this garden that I know thrive and that I know can take a little bit of heat. I kind of decided, what is the point in trying to grow things that simply won't work in this space? So if we take a look down this end of the garden, I'll show you a couple of plants that I've used. All over the garden, I've got different varieties of geraniums, and they look incredible. I've also been able to bring out some of my houseplants. Now, if you saw my video at Kew Gardens, you may notice this plant. Just look at how big her leaves are. And she's even made a baby down here. I need to give her a name, so you guys can name her. Drop the name down below in the comments. Now, I will most likely do a separate video for her or him, whatever you guys decide, in the next couple of weeks or so. My Alocasias have also come out, and just look at the size of Lucy now. She is massive. I can barely fit her into the frame. And she's made lots of babies. Gorgeous plant. Well, of course, another plant that you probably noticed was this one here, a red hot poker. Now, what I love about this particular variety is the height that this one's given. The leaves are obviously evergreen, so that gives me some winter interest as well, but it's also been thriving up here. Now, one thing that I've done on this garden is I've selected plants like the red hot poker, like the geraniums, and actually what I've done is I've got several different varieties of the same plant and then just put them all throughout the garden. Flowers like the Echinacea, the salvias, once again, they are doubled, if not tripled, all throughout the garden. In the same way that we've learned in the flower show series how to make borders, I've repeated the same plants all throughout the garden, and that is why I've seen so much success. Well, this is unexpected. As you can hear, the bells are ringing. We're in the evening, but yet this morning glory guys, I cannot believe it's been 5 years and I still cannot say morning glory on this channel without laughing like a little child. Well, anyway, I'm trying to be professional here. Come on, get it together, Jason. Anyway, yeah, this morning glory, I just started from seed. This morning glory, I started from seed. This morning. uh, Forget it, you get the picture. My goodness, you would think a multi-award winning garden designer and TV presenter would be slightly more professional. A mess. It's not just flowers that I have in the garden, I also do have a bit of fruit and veg and some herbs as well. Of course, my number one winners on this garden are always going to be tomatoes. They absolutely thrive in this heat. So much so that I've got an abundance up here. Up on this vine, I've got cucumber melons over here. They are taking over this half of the trellis. You can see I've got strawberries, and this right here, this little beast, is actually a melon. It's a watermelon. Now, I'm not convinced that this watermelon is going to fruit, and even if it does, I think it's way too heavy for this trellis. That was probably an error on my part. But I also like to experiment. The grapes were an experiment and they are thriving. This, I'm not so sure. If it does manage to produce fruit, I think obviously I'm going to have to put some form of support underneath the fruit. But yeah, I don't really think it's going to do anything. What do you guys think? My peppers are fruiting. I also have got Scotch bonnet peppers down here, but that one's not yet flowered. But I do have Oxalis, and most people don't know Oxalis is actually edible. Mm. It tastes almost like apple sours. It's like really sour apples, but it's gorgeous. So sometimes when I'm making a salad, I kind of use that as a little bit of a garnish. Being 18 floors up, one of my biggest challenges is the wind. I've already done a video about the wind, and I'm going to leave that in the description box below. But my philosophy on this garden is I can't fight the wind. It's part of being 18 floors up, but I can work with it. My top tip is to essentially work with the wind. So a lot of my planting choices are designed to move and flow and sway in the wind. So things like my grasses, things like verbena, they allow the wind to just barrel through, and then what you get is that lovely movement using the wind as an advantage. Because of the wind, one of the flowers I've always struggled growing on this garden are sunflowers, but as you can see, these ones are doing just fine. In fact, these guys have mutated. They're actually one plant, but somehow they split themselves into two. So this is Tia and this is Tamara. As you can see, right down to the bottom, right here is where the plant has split. Oh, but yet there is a third in there. Wait, what is Tia and Tamara's brother called? Is it Raj? Okay, if that's Raj, that's his name. I directly sowed all of the sunflowers on the garden, but what made them a success this year is actually I started them a little bit later. And if you have a look over here, you'll see that this one opened up yesterday morning, and it is incredible. Now, I think the reason why this one has flowered early is because it is in a really rubbishy area. This is the windiest part of the balcony, but it's still thriving. I even have pockets of shade. So down here, you can see that my hellebores are looking really great down here. I moved the saxifraga from the window boxes down into there. So they are looking ropey now, but they will come back. And if you take a look, I've got some kale over here, but I also have hostas as well. There's also a tiarella down there too. And so this pocket of shade is really, really great for these plants here. And I've been able to experiment. This year is probably the best that the garden has ever looked. And one of the reasons is I've changed and adapted my work schedule to make sure that I'm never really away for more than 3 days. Even if that means I have to travel back and forth a little bit more, which is hard because sometimes I'm up and down the country, especially filming all of these flower shows for you guys. And secondly, I probably haven't been in the best headspace this past year or so. And I don't know, I've really needed this garden. Now I feel like I haven't been able to pull myself out of my funk, and it's really, I don't know, I don't really know how to explain it. And that's probably one of the reasons why you haven't seen as many how-to guides and focusing in on this balcony, doing loads of videos and making loads of content on the balcony. I think it's because I don't know, I needed my space back. Because obviously when you create content, you feel like you have to bring the camera out on the sort of tripod, and talk, and sometimes I just need to be in the garden. So I hope you guys can forgive me for not posting as often about the garden, but it's kind of because I needed to make it my sanctuary again. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. One of the lessons I learned from this garden actually came from the clematis. This is where it snaps during a storm, but as you can see, it grew so many new shoots and crawled all the way over these arches. And for the first time, it's flowered like absolutely crazy. And sometimes this garden kind of visually can represent me and how I feel. And I look at some of these plants and see how they choose to live on and continue to thrive. And when I'm out here gardening, it reminds me that sometimes I need to do the same. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this tour, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Without this garden, I think I probably would have really struggled this year, but anyway, I am okay. I am okay, and that is thanks to this garden. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.